This is Unit 5 review, Problem 10. It's called the death penalty. So we have the Gallup organization, which is a polling organization, asked a sample size of 537 American adults their opinion on punishment for murder. And there are only two options, so death penalty or life imprisonment with no possibility of parole. So they want us to do a confidence interval to estimate the percentage of Americans who favor the death penalty. So it looks like 52% said yes. So it looks like a majority. But the question is that 2% just due to natural sampling variability, or is there a strong opinion by Americans? So what we need to do is check the conditions real quick. So let's see if we can do that. So we would need plausible independence. So there's no reason to believe that one person, no reason to believe that one person's opinion will affect another's. Especially if they've been randomly chosen. And that is true. The random condition, so plausible independence, this is yes. How many? They sampled 537 randomly. Okay, 10% condition. So 537 is less than all Americans, adults. Okay, and then let's see, success failure condition. So we have n times p, and it would be n times p hat. So that n is 537 times 0.52, and that comes out to be 279. And n times q hat is 537 times 0.48, and that comes out to be 258. So it's greater than 10, greater than 10. So the sample is large enough. Okay, so we've got the conditions out of the way. Looks good. Since the conditions are satisfied, we can use a 1 proportion Z interval to estimate the percent of Americans or American adults adults that support the death penalty or in favor of the death penalty. Okay, so that was the tough part. So let's just think about what is a confidence interval. So it's an estimate plus or minus the margin of error. So our estimate in this case was p hat plus or minus z star and times the square root of p hat q hat divided by n. So p hat was 0.52 plus or minus, and so we get 0.52 times 0.48 all divided by 37. Okay, so I forget what confidence. So they wanted 95% confidence. Okay, so that's 1.960. I have that memorized. Okay, so what we get, that's going to be confidence interval is going to end up being 52 minus this margin of error. Let's see, I can do this real quick on my calculator. I'm going to do, let's see, the square root of 0.52 times 0.48 divided by 537 equals, so this is just going to be 0.52 plus or minus 1.960 times 0.0216. So times 1.96. So we get 0.52 minus 0.04, 0.52 plus 0.04. So we get 0.48 to 0.56. Alright, so we are 95% confident that between 48% and 56% of American adults are in favor of the death penalty. Okay, so that answers the question. Now for A. For B, they wanted to know, based on your confidence interval, is it clear that the death penalty has a majority? Well, it's not clear because it could be 48. There's a chance it could be 48. We estimate that it's between, or it could be lower than 50% at times or higher. So it's not clear since the interval extends below 50%. It is not clear that the death penalty I can't spell penalty very well. That the death penalty has majority support. Okay, let's try it again. There we go. Alright, so I think there's one more question. They wanted us to find the sample size if we wanted a margin of error of 2% with a 98% confidence. Alright, so let's think about this. The margin of error is equal to z star times square root of pq over n. That's a q. Looks like a g. Okay, so we want 0.02. Okay, and then we don't know what the proportion is, so the most conservative value to use is 0.5 times 0.5 over n. Alright, so now the z value, if we wanted 98%, we'd have 98% confidence, so that would be 9.8. So here we'd have 0.01 and 0.01. So z star is equal to the absolute value of inverse norm of 0.01. And I get 2.326. So 2.326. Okay, so if I solve for n, 0.02 equals 2.326 times the square root of 0.5 times 0.5 over n. So I'm just going to square this whole side and square this and square this. So what I do to one side, I do to the other. So I get 0.02 squared and 2.326 squared, and then I get 0.5 times 0.5 over n. Okay, so now I just multiply both sides by n, and at the same time I'm going to divide by 0.02 squared, divide by 0.02 squared. So this cancels, and I get n equals 2.326 squared times 5, 0.5 times 0.5, all divided by 0.02 squared. Okay, and so I get, I'm just going to do that on my calculator, 2.326 squared times 0.5 times 0.5. So that's, I get 1.352569 divided by 0.02 squared. So divided by 0.02 equals, divided by 0.02 equals, I get n equals 3381.4. So approximately 3382. Okay. So let's say in order to determine the proportion of Americans in favor of the death penalty, to within 2% with 98% confidence with a 90% confidence level, we would need to randomly sample a lot more, 3,382 adult Americans. Okay, so I hope that helps. Sorry for the misspelling and some of the sloppy writing, but trying to go as fast as I can. All right.